Forecasters just upgraded this, and the number they're staring at right now is the one that keeps them up at night. Level 3 out of 5, the highest severe weather designation issued anywhere in this country this entire spring season. Level 3, EF2 tornadoes possible. Hurricane force wind gusts, 2-inch hail. Tornado window 5 p.m. to midnight if you live in Kansas, Oklahoma, or North Texas tonight. This one is for you. Here's the part that really stops forecasters cold. The same storm system bringing tornadoes to the plains today is going to drop more than 6 inches of snow on the Midwest before the week is over, and Thursday and Friday are going to be worse than today. Let's talk about the number that matters most right now. 5 metro areas are sitting inside the highest tornado risk corridor on today's map, and those cities are Kansas City, Wichita, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, and Abilene, Texas, each carrying a 5% tornado probability within a 25-mile radius this afternoon and evening. Folks, we are not talking about small spin-ups here. The setup today supports EF2 or stronger tornadoes, and EF2 is the intensity level where structural damage to homes begins, roofs come off, and walls cave in, so burn this into your memory before you make any plans for this evening. And here's why the timing matters so much. The main tornado window opens around 5 p.m. and stays dangerous straight through midnight, which makes this a nocturnal event. And nocturnal tornadoes kill more people than daytime ones because most folks are asleep when the warnings go off, and you have almost no time to react. If you are in a mobile home anywhere across Kansas, Oklahoma, or North Texas tonight, do yourself a solid and get out of it. Right now, mobile homes offer zero protection from a significant tornado, and with this threat running past midnight, you need to be inside a permanent structure well before sunset, no debate whatsoever. Think about Gary, a retired electrician in Wichita, Kansas. He's lived through plenty of spring storms and says he respects every single one of them, and tonight he's got his weather radio charging, shoes parked right next to the basement door, and he's already called his daughter in Tulsa to make sure she has a plan of her own. Gary's approach is exactly right, because when a tornado warning hits your phone tonight at 9 or 10 p.m., you will not have time to think the people who get to safety are the ones who decided where they were going before the storm ever arrived. And that decision needs to happen right now, not when the sirens start. Now let's talk about the wind threat. Because that number is just as alarming, there is a 30% chance of damaging gusts exceeding 65 to 70 miles per hour across the entire threat zone today. In the strongest cells, those gusts push past 75 miles per hour, which is hurricane-force wind from a thunderstorm, the kind that destroys roofs, snaps large trees, and flips vehicles clean off the highway. And then there's the hail. Good grief. Any storm inside that hatched risk zone today could produce hailstones 2 inches in diameter or larger, which is the size of a baseball falling straight down at terminal velocity. So get your vehicles under cover before 5 p.m. and do not wait until you see something on radar to start moving. Now swing east, because while the main show is in the southern plains, the Ohio Valley is also carrying a real severe weather threat today. Columbus, Cincinnati, Louisville, and Lexington all have a legitimate low-end chance of an isolated strong tornado south of Columbus this afternoon, which is not a corridor that shows up in tornado risk maps very often. Columbus, Ohio at 52 degrees Fahrenheit is already under a dark and threatening sky this evening. Indianapolis at 48 degrees Fahrenheit has severe weather watches in effect as we speak, and Detroit, Michigan at 45 degrees Fahrenheit is tracking a fast-moving squall line with 50 miles per hour wind gusts and a tornado risk before this evening is through. Down in the mid-Atlantic, Philadelphia at 50 degrees Fahrenheit has heavy rain and gusty winds pushing through. Washington, D.C. at 55 degrees Fahrenheit has heavy rain bands arriving this afternoon. And Pittsburgh at 48 degrees Fahrenheit is already seeing flash flooding risk, as storm totals push past 2 inches on ground that has had zero time to dry out from last week. Burn this into your memory. For flash flooding, 12 inches of fast-moving water is enough to sweep a full-grown adult completely off their feet. And 2 feet of moving water carries a car right off the road, so if you see a flooded street anywhere in these areas tonight, turn around and do not drown. No exceptions, ever. Before we keep going, drop your city and state in the comments right now. because this 5-day outbreak is hitting completely different areas on completely different days. And we want to make sure you get the most accurate local timing breakdown for your specific area as this whole system works its way across the country. Now here's the thing that you absolutely cannot miss. Thursday is shaping up to be worse than Wednesday, with all hazards of severe weather on the table across Illinois, Iowa, Wisconsin, Indiana, and Michigan, and the Storm Prediction Center has already placed Chicago, Milwaukee, Springfield, and Indianapolis inside a 5% tornado risk zone for Thursday afternoon. Let that sink in for a second. Chicago and Milwaukee, two of the biggest cities in America, both under an active 5% tornado risk zone on Thursday. That is a combined metro area of over 10 million people who need a shelter plan ready before Thursday afternoon, and not one that involves just keeping an eye on the window. And then Friday comes and straight talk. Forecasters are calling today and Friday the two most dangerous days of this entire outbreak, because Friday brings another level 3 setup with numerous severe storms capable of widespread destructive winds, very large hail, and a real chance of multiple violent tornadoes across Iowa, Missouri, and Oklahoma all at once. Meet Diane, a retired hospital administrator in Des Moines, Iowa. She's been watching this forecast all week, and she told her husband last night she is not taking any chances on Thursday or Friday camp. Chairs are already in from the garage. Weather radio is on the kitchen counter. And she's printed out her county's emergency shelter locations just in case. Now Diane's husband thinks she might be overdoing it just a little. But here's the truth. Folks, the people who look overprepared before a major outbreak are the exact same people who get to tell the story afterward. And the ones who shrug it off are often the ones who end up on the wrong side of that story. And here's why you cannot turn this off yet. Storm 3 is already lined up for Easter weekend, and early model data shows Saturday, April 4th, shaping up as a significantly dangerous day from Texas all the way through the Great Lakes, making this a 3-storm sequence back to back to back, with no break and no margin for error. The cold side of this system is not getting nearly enough attention. More than 6 inches of snow is expected across parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin, and the Dakotas before this week is done. And on top of that snowfall, up to a ½ inch of freezing rain is possible across Iowa, northern Illinois, and Indiana, enough ice to shut down roads and knock out power to tens of thousands of homes overnight. Denver at 35 degrees Fahrenheit is already dealing with a late-season snow event that has made I-25 genuinely dangerous Colorado. Springs is at 32 degrees Fahrenheit with heavy snow-cutting visibility to near zero. And Minneapolis at 38 degrees Fahrenheit is sitting in air that feels more like January than April, as this Arctic mass keeps pushing south ahead of the next wave. Now let's walk through the timing for today, because knowing when these storms arrive is just as critical as knowing where the first supercells develop around Midland and the West Texas Panhandle starting near 2 to 3 p.m. this afternoon, with large hail being the primary concern in that early window before the tornado threat cranks up. Then by 6 to 7 p.m., storm clusters push into Dallas and Fort Worth from the west, both cities sitting in warm, sticky air right now that has been loading up storm energy all day like a coiled spring, and as those cells ride northeastward up the Red River corridor. The tornado threat escalates fast for the Wichita Falls area. The most dangerous window for Kansas City runs from about 8 p.m. through midnight, so y'all in Kansas City need that basement door unlocked well before 8 o'clock and need to stay off the road during that window entirely, because storm development along the warm frontal boundary can happen quickly and without much additional warning. As storms cluster into a squall line overnight, the threat transitions from tornadoes and hail to widespread destructive winds pushing east through Kansas and Missouri into Illinois, and squall line winds of 60 to 70 miles per hour cost communities weeks of cleanup and leave whole neighborhoods without power for days, not hours. Let's check in on the cities catching a break today. Atlanta at 78 degrees Fahrenheit has some sunshine mixing in. Charlotte at 75 degrees Fahrenheit and Raleigh at 76 degrees Fahrenheit are both looking pleasant. And Miami at 82 degrees Fahrenheit is as gorgeous as ever. But don't let those clear skies fool you, because several of these quiet cities today are sitting squarely in Thursday and Friday's threat zones. And worth mentioning, the Southeast is dealing with a drought that is roaring back with a vengeance, because the heavy rain from these storm systems keeps tracking north of Georgia, the Carolinas, and Tennessee, meaning the areas that most need the rain are getting bypassed again, and the dry conditions keep getting worse week after week. Houston at 85 degrees Fahrenheit has afternoon storm clusters pushing in from the west with dangerous lightning and localized flooding. San Antonio at 86 degrees Fahrenheit and Austin at 84 degrees Fahrenheit are tracking storm bands riding up from the Gulf. El Paso at 85 degrees Fahrenheit is under a red flag fire warning, and Albuquerque at 70 degrees Fahrenheit is tracking high wind and critically low humidity, meaning fire weather. Severe storms and tornado risk are all happening on the same map at the exact same time. Over in New York City at 45 degrees Fahrenheit, heavy rain and strong winds have triggered flash flood watches across parts of upstate New York and for anyone commuting in or around the city tonight. The combination of heavy rain, gusts, and rapidly falling temperatures is going to make for a flat-out dangerous and miserable drive home. Nashville at 70 degrees Fahrenheit is dealing with heavy rain and flash flood risk near the Cumberland River. Memphis at 72 degrees Fahrenheit has scattered severe storms and downtown flooding concerns, and Louisville at 65 degrees Fahrenheit has supercell activity with active tornado and large hail warnings in effect right now, which tells you exactly how far north and east today's severe weather environment is actually reaching. Here's what most folks are not accounting for. The cumulative rainfall from this 5-day sequence is going to push several major rivers toward flood stage by this weekend. River flooding is the sneaky kind that doesn't peak until days after the rain stops, so the Ohio River, the Wabash, and the lower Mississippi communities need to be watching gauge levels right now, not the radar. Meet Robert, a retired riverboat captain who has lived on the banks of the Ohio River outside Cincinnati. His whole life, he says, when 5-day systems come through back-to-back like this, the river never gets a chance to come back down between events, and he's already moving his dock equipment to higher ground because he's seen exactly what happens when people wait. Robert's instinct is backed by the data the National Weather Service is already flagging moderate to major flooding on several Ohio River tributaries by this weekend. So if you live in a river community anywhere from southern Indiana through western Kentucky, right now's the time to check your flood alerts and make a plan. Not Saturday morning when the water is already at the road. So here's exactly what you need to do before that 5 p.m. tornado window opens. Today, identify the lowest interior room in your home right now. Make sure every person in your household knows where to go. And download a weather alert app that will wake you up even at 2 in the morning if a tornado warning drops for your county while you're asleep. A tornado. Watch means conditions are favorable. Stay aware and be ready to act. A tornado. Warning means rotation has been confirmed and it is headed directly toward you. And that is your signal to stop everything. Move to your shelter immediately. Zero delay, zero debate, no exceptions at all. For the Great Lakes and Upper Midwest folks watching this, do not let the quiet weather in your area today give you a false sense of security. Because by Thursday morning, the entire severe weather setup has moved into your backyard and Chicago. Milwaukee, Indianapolis, and Springfield need the same level of preparation that Wichita and Oklahoma City need this evening. Meet Carol, a retired school principal in Indianapolis. She's cleared out her basement, stocked a flashlight and bottled water down there, reached out to both her kids to make sure they have shelter plans sorted. And she's personally knocking on her elderly neighbor's door today to make sure he knows what's coming Thursday afternoon. That neighborhood-level check-in is exactly what saves lives in a multi-day outbreak like this one, because the warning system works best when real people are actively passing it along to the people right around them, rather than assuming everybody already saw the forecast and knows exactly what to do. Let's take full stock of this outbreak. 5 days of active severe weather. Level 3 today from Wichita to Wichita Falls. A 5% tornado risk that includes Chicago and Milwaukee on Thursday. Add 6+ inches of snow on the cold side, a ½ inch of freezing rain for the upper Midwest, and a squall line Saturday that could stretch from Texas through the Ohio Valley in one continuous wall, and that is just what we know right now. The reason today and Friday worry forecasters most is that those are the 2 days where the atmosphere is set up for long-track tornadoes, the kind that stay on the ground for 20, 30, even 40 miles at a stretch, not quick spin-ups, but organized rotating cells that can cause catastrophic damage across a wide corridor before they finally lift. Straight talk. On what 70 miles per hour squall line winds actually do on the ground, they snap large trees in half, push tractor trailers off interstates, tear metal roofing off buildings, take down entire blocks of power lines, and produce the kind of damage that has communities cleaning up for weeks on end. This is not something you sleep through. For flash flooding tonight, Pittsburgh, New York City, and the Mid-Atlantic are the biggest concerns, where 1 to 2 inches per hour of rainfall on already saturated ground fills underpasses, floods basements, and turns roadways into rivers in under 20 minutes if you see water over the road tonight. Turn around, don't drown, full stop. Milwaukee at 40 degrees Fahrenheit, Minneapolis at 38 degrees Fahrenheit, and Omaha at 45 degrees Fahrenheit are all sitting quiet and cold tonight. But these cities are 24 hours away from a completely different situation. And if you're in any of those metro areas, right now is the window to get your shelter plan sorted before the next chapter of this outbreak arrives Thursday morning. And for folks in the upper Midwest who are thinking Thursday is still far enough out to deal with later, here is the practical advice for today. Not tomorrow. Text your family members. Make sure your weather app is set to alert for your home county. And decide right now where your safe room is before Wednesday night catches you off guard. Looking past this weekend, models are consistent in showing another significant low-pressure system developing by mid-April that could bring yet another round of severe weather to many of these same areas. This outbreak is not a one-and-done event. It is locked and loaded as the opening act of what is shaping up to be a genuinely rough spring season from start to finish. Back to the city by city for tonight. Cincinnati at 50 degrees Fahrenheit is right in the bullseye for a tornado possibility south of Columbus. And Cleveland at 48 degrees Fahrenheit is tracking severe storm activity pushing in from the west. And for the folks in Louisville at 65 degrees Fahrenheit, the supercell activity this afternoon is the real deal. Y'all need to be in your safe room before dark tonight, not after you see the storm already on the TV news. Baltimore at 52 degrees Fahrenheit has heavy rain and building east winds, making the evening commute dangerous. Virginia Beach at 65 degrees Fahrenheit has rough coastal surf with elevated warnings posted, and New Orleans at 82 degrees Fahrenheit is dealing with tropical-style storm clusters, pumping Gulf moisture northward, which is the fuel source feeding every severe storm from Texas through the Ohio Valley tonight. Here is your week at a glance. Today, the Level 3 corridor runs from Wichita through Wichita Falls, with Kansas City, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, and Abilene in the highest tornado risk. Thursday, the threat moves north to Chicago, Milwaukee, Indianapolis, and Springfield. Friday's Level 3 focuses on Iowa and Missouri. And Saturday, the squall line pushes east from Texas through the Ohio Valley. Share this with someone who needs to hear it tonight. Text your aunt in Wichita. Call your son in Kansas City. Reach out to your sister in Chicago who might not have her weather alerts turned on yet because the folks who get hurt in outbreaks like this one are always the ones who simply never got a heads up from somebody who cared enough to send it. Level 3. EF2 tornadoes tonight. Hurricane force gusts. 6 inches of snow. A 5-day outbreak with a 10 million person threat zone Thursday and a new system building for mid-April that is April 2nd, 2026, and good Lord, this week is only just getting started. Stay weather aware every single day through this weekend. Take every watch and warning seriously the moment it drops for your county check back tomorrow as Thursday's Chicago-Milwaukee threat comes into sharper focus, and drop your city in the comments right now so we know exactly where you are and can get you the most specific local forecast we possibly can.